Welcome to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida's newest, hottest show, Business Between the Lines. Hosted by Kristi Kirkland, a business accelerator at Answer Marketing, and co-hosted by Jayson Price, a video guru at Ripplify Media.
Hey, Jason.
Hey, Kristi.
And everyone, welcome back to Business Between the Lines, MiniSeries. As promised last week, Jason and I are going to get together for 3 little mini-series before our relaunch of the official Business Between the Lines on April 3rd. So today we just kind of wanted to come together and talk about some hot topics that are going around and just some things that Jason and I have some pretty good perspective on, and hopefully the listeners will clue in and really enjoy what we're bringing. But today it's going to be a little bit on behind the scenes.
Exactly.
Both personally and professionally. And what does that mean? And how does that...
Everything is not always as it seems.
Exactly. And now, I mean, honestly, now more than ever, people are looking online for their entertainment, getting their connections online. We're home more. We're not going like to Disney World and traveling all over the world and getting our connections and actually seeing things in full perspective. We're only getting a little highlight reel. We're just getting a snapshot, and we're getting it in massive amounts because we're online a whole lot more right now. And what we're seeing is not always as it seems. One of my things that I wanted to make sure to point out in this show today was the reason I think that we all are struggling with insecurities right now is because we are comparing our behind the scenes with everybody else's highlight reel that is being pushed out there. So basically the behind the scenes is like where the dirty dishes get washed and where the face gets put on that we put out there to the public. And that's all people are really seeing. And it's causing people to have doubts, and it's causing people to be like, oh, I'm not doing as good as somebody else. It's that whole mentality of, the photographer takes these amazing pictures of this beautiful, happy couple running down the beach and splashing in the water and giving lovey-dovey kisses and everything. But behind the scenes, before they got there to that beautiful beach and those sunset pictures and stuff, I'll go ahead and throw my gender under the bus. We might have, before the pictures, taken a look at our spouse or our significant other and said, is that really the outfit you picked out for today's session?
And then the man's sitting there like, well, why didn't you just pick me something out for me if you really cared that much about it?
So it's just, it's one of those things that we really need to slow down. And yes, when we do slow down, we do realize the reality of stuff. But in the moment, especially when we're weak and vulnerable and we see stuff like that, we're not as apt to stop and take a reality perspective, look at something and say, oh, that's just a snapshot. They're not always happy and perfect. Our show is prime example.
Exactly. I think things like this especially come true whenever it involves somebody. And Kristi, you and I are definitely both like bred like this, where by default, you just are always trying to be joyful and happy and like not let everything bother you. And the world is just happy. And like we just are always optimistic about just about everything.
I'd love to see the beauty and things, even in something terrible. I like to look at all sides of something and pull out, what can I learn from this situation? How can this make me better? And that's not easy to do. It's not easy to keep doing on a regular basis. And especially when you're confronted with other people's successes and you see those on there, and then you're behind the scenes and you look at the way your life is a hot mess, or like our show, all of our road bumps that we've overcome and the setbacks, we've talked about this many times, that other people look at us like, how do you just keep pushing through? How do you keep smiling? And you guys are seeing what we choose to be to everybody. We choose happiness. We choose light. We choose love. And that's not to say that that's easy. It is hard sometimes.
Because that's not to say that you don't just fake it. It's not a fake it till you make it game.
Yeah.
Because then you're just alone and you have zero support, and you're not letting your support know that you're hurting and you're in pain.
Right.
That contrasted with just actually trying to see the best side of whatever it is that, that you're going through. And like, this show, for instance, like we've had, where we recorded some and then some issues happen, record some and some issues happen. And it would be really easy to and just be really frustrated about it. But on like a real note, on the inside of Jayson, even though like I come across as like this super like positive, happy-go-lucky guy all the time, like I'm also frustrated because like right now I really wish we had launched back in January.
Yeah.
Like that was the original plan. But I was speaking with somebody about this the other day, and they were like, well, hey, what if God just wanted you guys to go through and do all those, recordings, and now they're test recordings, and now you're even more prepared for, for the relaunch,
Or maybe some really good positive things are going to come out of our mini-series that we do. And
because this was off the cuff. This wasn't something that was originally, an idea.
No, totally not planned.
Yeah.
But fun nonetheless. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Another thing is just on again, that perspective of what we show to the world. And you said it perfectly, that we do have our struggles behind the scenes, but we have to have people around us. And you and I would not be where we are today if we weren't pushing each other up. And I thank the Lord that your downs are when my ups are happening, and my ups are when you're down, so we can bounce off of each other. And, when I called you and you're like, what? And I was already back pumped and saying, you know what, we're going to turn this into an educational moment. This is a perfect teaching moment, and lift you up. And then, then I start having my doubts, and I'm like, oh, we had such great shows. And then you jumped back and you lifted me back up and said, we're going to have those speakers back on. It's going to be even better. We're, they're comfortable now. They've had their little trial run, because some of them have never been in front of a setup like we have. And so the second time, third time, fourth time is a charm.
Exactly. Like I don't have a clue where I would be. There's like 2, 3, 4 people in my life that are very, 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 very close to me who helped me through a lot of like the struggles that I've got. And my brother and my wife are 2 of those people in my inner circle. And both of them through the radio show, having issues and having, setbacks, but then also like, Ripplify Media having issues and having setbacks, and moving to Gainesville having issues and having setbacks, and figuring out like, okay, how do I make friends not in my hometown that I was raised in, where I feel like I know the whole freaking town.
Right.
It's like all these different, challenges. But, my wife, my brother, and then, a few other people in my life have really, really helped me to be able to get past that, because I know that I've got support, and I know that whenever I need them, that they're always going to be there.
Yeah. One of my favorite things that I try to teach other people is to live intentionally. And I think in the way that I live my life, that paying attention to small, little, perfect, wonderful, magical things that you wouldn't normally see if you let yourself get caught up in all the drama around us and all of everybody else's, what they're saying. A perfect example is, the beginning of the year, when all these gyms start pumping at you all these informational commercials that say, you need to get in shape, you need to do this, you need to do that. And we start believing that, and we start listening into stuff like that. And it really kind of pulls us down and away. But if we live intentionally and not let what's going on around us dictate how we feel every morning, I really feel that that's part of why, I get asked that a lot, how do you just stay so positive and so pumped up and so motivated and stuff? And it's because of that. When I walk across the yard, and in my mind, I'm like, we're going to re-record all these shows and stuff. And that's what I'm thinking about. and then I hear birds chirping, and I smell fresh, clean air, blowing off the lake and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
If I was so focused on what might be going wrong or what I have to overcome, I wouldn't notice these little things. And that's a very big part of my lifestyle, is living intentionally, being open to your surroundings, to be able to see all the other great things that are happening, even in the midst of chaos. You can find those little things to just keep you moving forward.
Yeah. It's so funny that you like bring up that specific thing. Because again, going back to like real, what's happening to Jayson in this moment is, you can probably hear it in my voice, but I've got this sinus infection I've been dealing with the last few days. So like my head's, been pounding the last few days. My nose is like, dry and stuff. And so it's also been like really, affecting my sleep.
Right.
And, last night, I was in, Gainesville, and I was driving back to Panama City. So I got in late and didn't sleep well, and all this junk that, would normally just like really get me down and frustrated. And then I'm driving, and I just had like the most peaceful, drive to come out here to the lake. And then, I'm hauling the gear, to come into this space where you're recording this right now. And I'm hearing all these birds chirping, and I'm hearing the wind blowing, and I smell like just fresh, clean air. And I'm like, man, this is the perfect place to be, doing this. Cause I was kind of tempted to just like, find a place that's conveniently located, find an office space, somewhere, to shoot this, but
square brown walls. No.
Yeah, no.
Not me. I don't function
much
well
rather,
in that.
come here, where if we had that door open, they, viewers would probably hear the birds chirping outside.
Yeah. And that's another, very powerful tip that people can take away from this is be very aware of your surroundings. You might be in a 4 squared brown room, but you can make it your own. In my office, I have motivational stuff all the way around. I've got certain colors that appeal to me and make me feel comfortable, make me feel calm, make me feel loved. Blues and browns and burgundies, different colors like that appeal to my character and my surroundings and stuff. So it helps when you are bombarded also by positive stuff to negate anything that's happening negatively. And I mean, a perfect example is a couple minutes ago when you took a sip of your tea. If you're not feeling good and you're stressed out, you're enjoying that more. It's almost like you taste it more.
It's like you crave that like release of like endorphins and tasting good. And while we're at it,
take a little sip. And that is one of those things that's all about that concept of living intentionally is in that moment, stopping and blocking out anything else that's happening and just be with that cup of tea and let it do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. In order to do that, you have to have, like I was listening to a podcast last night where they were talking about self-awareness.
Yeah.
And you have to have self-awareness to know that you're a little stressed.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're not giving into weakness, admitting that you're stressed. It's like, okay, yeah, like I'm hurt. Like, oh, I scraped my knee. Ow, boo-boo. I need to get a Band-Aid. Like, you have to know that you got a boo-boo so you can treat it, right? So understanding, like, yeah, my mind's a little clouded. I'm not quite, like, I'm not in the zone, altogether. And sometimes it's as simple as, the cup of tea or the cup of coffee or like, I mean, heck, even like grabbing a Diet Coke sometimes is like the thing that you, the thing that you need.
And your Diet Cokes.
I love me a Diet Coke. I want some over there.
That's too funny. No, another thing, just bringing out some more tips and stuff for people, especially in this time and day when we're looking at perspective and everything, is make sure also the people that are around you. I had a conversation just last Wednesday with someone that came to visit our A-team group, and he was like, how do you find so many amazing people all in the same place? And I was like, well, we kind of pick them for that. And it's not because we don't love all the other people that we have in our life. It's just that we understood a long time ago, the A-team members, that surrounding yourself with people that will lift you higher, that will help you up, that will be there for you, that, when you have a problem, they don't listen to it and say, oh, you need to get you some from that. You need to go after them. That was terrible. I can't believe they did that. Instead, they say, oh, I'm sorry that happened. How can I make it better? How can I help you? That positive influence and stuff around us. And we have to be very guarded about our quality of time and how many of those looking at the people that are around us, more than 80% of the people that you have around you need to be in that top percentile of positive influences, people that are good for your soul. And if you have people that are not, that are feeding into your fears, your doubts, or telling you can't do something, or, oh, you should probably hold off until you're in a better place, or, oh, have you put on a little weight there, just not the best way to say something to you. If that's your 80%, then yes, you're going to struggle with perspective in life and with being positive and keeping that upbeat outlook on stuff. And when something bad happens, you're not going to be able to deal with it as well as, like, you and I are very guarded about who we have in our inner circle to make sure that when we have something like this happen, we just push each other back up and say, let's keep moving forward.
Exactly. Like anytime, like this analogy just popped in my head, like if you're ever going to go and build something, you want to make sure that the right people are there to help you build the thing. Like if something as simple as putting together like IKEA furniture or something, if you're going to bring somebody in who hates following directions and doesn't organize bolts and screws and tabs and this and that and the other, they're not the person to help you put it together. If you're, for you, like building a shipping container house, like you make sure the people that are there are people that actually care about the final result and aren't going to haphazardly weld something or screw something or tear something or whatever because they don't care about the end result. And whenever you're building a house, like you want to make sure that you hire the right builders or hiring pest control. You want to make sure you have the right people to take care of you. So all of those things are important, and we all understand it's important. But then so often we're building our lives and we're not intentional about who we have alongside us to build our lives because we think, oh, well, I'm not influenced by them. I just hang out with them 5 days a week.
Yeah.
I spend most of my time with them, but I don't listen to anything they say.
Right.
Like, bull crap, you don't. Like, we're all influenced by the people we spend the most time with.
So I do this test thing with some of the people that I coach. And basically, I tell them to bring out a piece of paper. And I tell them, write down the people that are around you the most, the people that you interact with the most. And I'm like, social media too. This is not just going to lunch and stuff like that, but you need to sit down and write down. And basically what you do is, like, if you open up a Facebook post and you start to tag somebody, the people that you interact with the most, that you follow their stuff the most, that you see their stuff the most, will be the top ones that pop up in the suggestion. So you write down those 10 people that pop up in that suggestion. If you're getting ready to tag somebody in a post on a picture, you will see the top ones. They always have those games around the holidays where they say, who threw the first snowball, who peed on the snowman.
Yeah, like your fourth is the blank or whatever.
Yes. So do that and write those 10 people down on the piece of paper. Then look at your calendar over the past month. Write down all the people that you've had appointments with. Look at your phone. Who have you called the last couple times? Write down the top 10 people that you've called. Write down the people that you are going to work with because you see those people every single day. Write those down. You have to make that list, and then you take it and you circle all of the positive, the people that it kind of makes you smile when you read their name, and then put a little X. This is just for you, this list. Put an X by the ones that, little microphone bleep there.
All right, go ahead.
Put an X next to the ones that are, maybe sometimes they say stuff that unintentionally are a little hurtful, or they are always have a problem. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
It's like no matter what happens, life is out to get them.
Drama queens and drama kings of the world.
Then you need to put an X by those and then take notice and see how many circles and how many X's you have on there. And you need to start making adjustments. Now, I'm not saying cut people out of your life, toss them to the curb. I know there are some people that will tell you, just get rid of them. I'm very big about not burning bridges. That's just, it's a life motto of mine. Don't burn bridges, but you can limit your time with them and make it less. Be there for them if they need, but you also have to protect your mental and physical well-being, and that's part of it.
Exactly. It's like anybody in your life, I think, kind of I think it was one of my pastors had said this. It's like anybody that you spend a lot of time with, it's usually breaks it down into like one of three different categories. It's either somebody that influences you heavily, to be like mentors, people you look up to, people you draw from, and then people that you influence, people that you are coaching and are helping, generally speaking, as people who maybe are younger than you, or people that are, have not been doing the thing that you're doing as long, as you have been doing. And then there's just your friends that are like, the people that are right in the middle. And sometimes you need to like realize that, the friends that you really enjoy spending time with are actually really, draining you, because every time you hang out with them, it's always and I hate to say it's like, it's the sob story, and that you shouldn't, you need to have empathy for people.
Oh yeah.
But if every interaction just drains you, it doesn't mean cut them out of your life completely.
Exactly.
But be intentional about how much time, because, if you drain yourself into that individual, and then if I were to do that, and then I come home to my wife, and then I'm just frustrated, and I'm pushing all that onto her, like that's not fair.
Right.
I need to take care of her. I need to take care of my house, most importantly.
Right. Yeah. And there's things that we can do also to help, because that kind of brings a little reminder to me. Another thing that I do in my intentional living is, once I'm done with my work day and I'm going to the house, leave your work luggage at the door. Now I teach the balance, and that sometimes work overflows and home overflows into work, and vice versa.
And sometimes your work is so good that it doesn't actually impede with like family time or what have you.
Right. But you wouldn't want to, even as much as I enjoy honestly, just about every aspect of what it is that I do at Answer Marketing, to come home and just then talk about only me and Answer Marketing and all that stuff. I'm not being intentional with my family. I need to go in and I need to notice them. And I need to say, you look really great today. Or it's so, I was looking forward to seeing you all day long. Start it with something positive that just kind of snaps them out of whatever movement they're in and bring them into your world and stuff. But before you walk through the door, I do these 10 cleansing breaths. And I have around my doorstep, I have gardenias, I have rose bushes, I have azaleas, I have all these nice smelling flowers and stuff and clean air. And it's purposely for that, to help me cleanse and just put myself in that right frame of mind when I walk through the door, that no matter good or bad, what happened at work, that was mine. Now I need to be for them and walk in there. And it's not easy. Things are going to happen. I mean, you start walking through the door and a client calls you when you're walking through the door. Then all of a sudden work is inside the house again. It's going to happen. But if you're intentional about doing steps and doing things that help you get into the right frame of mind that you need to be around your family and stuff, so that you don't bring home the mud, then that's going to be seldom versus doing it all the time,
And I'm very similar to you in the fact that like almost everything I do is centered around video and business, and I love it. So whenever I'm coming home, usually there's something about my day that I'm usually kind of excited about, like something I want to tell Alex about.
Yes.
So, there's usually, 5-10 minutes or so, I go through, and then we just have like an understanding of, Jayson talks about the stuff that he's excited about. And then there's okay, we're not talking about work stuff anymore. We have like, certain time frame where we can go and we can talk about work stuff, and she'll tell me about her day, or whether it's the good thing or the bad thing, the frustrating thing or the exciting thing. And then it's now it's cut off, and now it's time for dinner, and now it's time for TV together, or like we had painting night the other night, or whatever the evening, kind of unfolds for us.
Yeah. And it really kind of also depends on your personality. I know both you and I are very, almost D-type, but just very bold.
Yeah.
And we can...
Very easy to take over a room.
Yes, we can control a whole situation.
Get us both in the room and whoo!
Yeah. And that's one of those things, but we recognize that. And so when I come in, I try to never start with my stuff first, because I know if I do, they might not ever be able to shut that tap water off, because it'll just keep rolling. But, just find the balance and everything, and just realize when you're out there, especially now more than ever, what you're seeing is the that highlight reel, like I said before, in there in front of everybody. it is the highlight reel that everybody chooses to put out there. And again, there are some people that they'll go ahead and air all their stuff out there, and those might be in that 1% that you need to have in your life.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we try to always put forward a positive thing, but just understand that there is other stuff behind the scenes, and that everybody has struggles, but it's how you choose to be. I have a struggle, but I choose to be happy. I choose to find the positive side in it. And it's not always easy. So make sure you surround yourself with the perfect tribe.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Business Between the Lines, our mini-series pre-launch show leading us into the full launch of Business Between the Lines, where you'll hear from Kristi and Jayson and their incredible guests, and you'll always walk away learning something to improve you personally and professionally. Thanks for watching.